Hi everyone! Today I'm going to show you how I take my eyebrows from being pretty much non-existent to looking fuller, completely well-shaped, having a visible arch and an actual tail. So keep watching if you want to see how I make non-existent, literally non-existent eyebrows actually look like I have something going on up there. Hello again. So we are getting really up close and personal today. My eyebrows look a little bit rough right now because I have been out all day shopping, running errands, and chasing after my kids. So I'm going to start by cleaning them off with a baby wipe. And we're going to, in a couple quick swipes, pretty much make them go away. Now, my eyebrows are much darker right now than they normally are because I tint them at home sometimes, and I tinted them probably about 4 weeks ago and they still haven't grown out completely. I will not be doing a video on how to tint your eyebrows at home because I do mine with hair dye and it's actually very, very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, and it can cause blindness, damage to the eyes around your skin, all kinds of bad things. And I would suggest, if you don't know what you're doing, go to an esthetician or go to somebody who knows what they're doing, go to an actual professional and have them do it. So mine are slightly darker than they normally are. You can see I pretty much have no outer third of my brow, very, very little. Huge chunk missing on both sides. They're fairly thin. I do pluck them so that they're thinner than what they are naturally. The reason I do that is, yeah, I look totally weird with no eyebrows, but the reason I do that is that way I can adjust them how I want them to look with the eyebrow product. The thinness at the ends is not from over plucking. I never pluck up into here or the ends or any of that. It's just genetic. So what I do real quick, let me show you a few tools. Here is what I use. Now normally I do occasionally wax my eyebrows, but I haven't been waxing them recently because I've been using retinol on my skin. You do not want to wax if you're using retinol because the retinol it softens your skin to the point where if you wax, you will be removing skin. And thankfully you can't see it anymore, but I did have a mark there for quite a while because I ripped off a chunk of skin while waxing, because nowhere in anything I read did it say, don't wax your face while you're using retinol. So right now lately I've been doing two things, plucking and shaving. Here are some of the tools I use. This little razor, this I get at Target. They come in 3-packs. This little guy is awesome for cleaning up those clear baby hairs that are really hard to pluck, and it's also awesome for when you don't have time to pluck but your eyebrows are looking absolutely crazy. This can fix them really quickly, but you do have to be careful because one wrong move and boom, your eyebrow's pretty much gone. So I use that. I have 3 different types of tweezers I use. I don't tweeze a whole lot because there's not that much there to tweeze, but I do have a few hairs that grow down into this space. So for the big visible hairs, I use these. They have little handles, kind of look like little mini torture tools, but they work really, really well. For shorter, finer hairs that are closer to my actual eyebrows, I use these, just a LA Cross small little travel pair. And then for ingrown hairs that For ingrown hairs or little hairs that are just starting to come up, I use these. These are super duper. Let me see if you can see those. Focus. Okay, super duper little fine pinchers, and these are absolutely fantastic for using for getting little tiny ingrown hairs. I also like to use them when I'm doing any sort of nail art because they're great for picking up the gemstones as well. Alright, well, my naked eyebrows are totally freaking me out, so we're going to get to filling them in. First, I want to go over one thing real quick. You probably already know this, but when you're doing your eyebrows, take a makeup brush against your nose, straight up to where the inside of your eyebrow should be. Mine, I actually take mine in this way, a little bit from that, as you can see. Probably maybe half a centimeter in from that. I do that because my eyes are naturally fairly close set, and for me, enlarging that space helps make my eyes look wider apart. So that's a little trick for you. Just make sure you don't take it too far, because with anything, too much is just too much. Again, your arch, take it against your nose, through your pupil, and your arch should be right here, which is where mine naturally is. Funny enough, that's also where I have no hair. Take it again, outer corner, and that's where your brow should end. And that's where mine does end when I get them filled in. So just want to go through that real quick. Almost everybody knows that, but just in case you didn't. Alright, the two products I'm going to be using to fill in my brows are two products I actually reviewed yesterday. I'm using the Anastasia Dipbrow pomades in dark brown and blonde. I use, some days if I'm doing real heavy eye makeup, I'll go completely dark brown. When my eyebrows aren't tinted, I'd be fine with using the blonde on its own for lighter days, but while they're tinted, the front half is obviously darker than what the blonde shade is, so I need to fill in the sparse gaps with the dark brown, so while it gives an ombre eyebrow effect, but it still looks natural. And the brushes I use two different brushes depending on the day. I have a Real Techniques brow brush that I use. This one's pretty wide. It's about as wide as my pinky nail. So it's good, but it can be tricky when you're trying to do smaller areas. So I also have, I got this in a Sonia Kashuk kit. Has your little brow brush thingy at the end, and then it has a very, very tiny, if you look at that again in comparison, it's much, much smaller, finer brush that I really like using this one for my eyebrows. And I also have a mini spoolie brush. And before I forget, I use the Maybelline Great Lash Clear as my brow gel. It works, it does the job, so I don't see the point in spending more money on something when this works fantastic. So I'm going to start with the Dipbrow pomade in blonde. This is what it looks like. Just going to get a little, too much. Okay, a little bit of that on my brush. If I get too much, I'm just going to dab it off onto my hand. Okay, so I'm taking a little tiny bit on the brush. I'm starting just a little far back from where my actual brow starts. I'm drawing a straight line with this to my arch. And I'm going to take it just down under the tail. Again, just take that in a straight line. See? Just two straight lines. Pretty simple to begin with. Now I'm going to take this and start filling in just with short, small strokes. All up through the thicker part of my brow. Now while this stuff dries pretty quickly, you have about 30 seconds to a minute to work with it. I am going to fill in this sparse spot where my arch is. Just bring it down into the tail, but you can see how light that still looks compared to the tinted area of my brow. That's where we're going to also be filling in with the dark brown, so you won't see that sparse spot. I'm going to take what's left on my brush and just go in again with short strokes, slightly angling the brush more upwards in the way the hair grows, this area, just to lightly fill in the inner corner of our brow. Alright, we have our basic shape, and I'm just going to go underneath the brow one more time, make sure everything's nice and clean looking. Alright, taking the same brush, I'm now going into my Dipbrow in dark brown. Here's what it looks like. Now the dark brown and the chocolate are fairly close in color. Chocolate is slightly lighter. The reason I didn't get chocolate is because the chocolate is more of a warm tone brown. The dark brown is more of an ash tone brown, which is closer to my natural hair color. So I'm taking that, I'm just going to go in just in front of that arch, down at the bottom, and pull that down into the tail, and then fill up into the arch where I don't have any hair. So we're basically using this to blend in the spots where I don't have any hair, so that the color matches the color of my eyebrows with the blonde. And it also gives a slight ombre effect to the eyebrow, with it being lighter near the front and darker near the tail. I'm also going to take this again because I like my eyebrows nice and strongly defined. And we're going to take it straight underneath the eyebrow, all the way from the beginning, and bring it under. That way we have that nice sharp line at the bottom, and it comes all the way through the curve. Now if you look at my eyebrow, it's dipping a little bit at the top, which is natural for my eyebrow, but also makes me look a little grumpy. So I'm going to, again, take what's left over on the brush and just round out the top of my brow ever so slightly. There. Now I don't look nearly as grumpy or grouchy, and it looks well defined and filled in. And if I take that same pencil I was using earlier, you can see there's that, straight through my iris and at the end of my eye. So that's pretty much how I fill in my brows. I pretty much use anything for a brow highlight. I usually don't carve them out when I'm done filling them in with concealer like a lot of people do. I think it can make them look too harsh and too finished. I like my brows to look slightly softer and not like they're drawn on. I like them to look more relaxed, more romantic. So here's the finished brow. And once the brow pomade sets completely, I like to come back in with my Maybelline Great Lash, and I always brush off any extra back onto the tube because I don't like to coat my eyebrows, and I just very, very lightly brush through them because my brow hair is nuts. It is not stiff or strong at all like most people's. It is actually about the same texture as the hair on my head, which means it does the same thing as the hair on my head. It goes everywhere. So that is pretty much what I do for my eyebrows. I will finish the other one up and you can see the final look. Alright, here's how my eyebrows look completely and totally finished. As you can see, I actually have them. They are a couple shades lighter than my natural hair color, and they make my eye makeup look a whole lot better, and I don't look quite so crazy. So that's pretty much my entire eyebrow routine. It's simple, it's quick. If you find the right products for you, it definitely goes a lot faster. Like I said, I used to use powder, and powder would take me forever to do, and I could never find a pencil that was the right color. So I am very happy with how they turned out. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel. You can also keep up with me on joannabrooks.net and on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. I'm pretty much everywhere. Please feel free to leave any comments or questions down below. I would absolutely love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.